Hello and thank you for joining us for another tax software training video. In this video, we're going to be discussing the Form 8965, the reconciliation of shared responsibility payment. So we're going to be putting these out a little more frequently and in response to common questions that we're getting. And this one got us today. And we hadn't really looked too far into it, but once we did, we realized, man, it can be confusing. So what is the 8965? We're going to add that here. It is basically reconciling your healthcare coverage. If you didn't have healthcare coverage, let's say the parents didn't have coverage, dependents did, and you don't want to pay for the kids because they had Medi-Cal or they were part of some organization where they were covered, but one of the parents wasn't. So they're going to get dinged, but we don't need to get dinged for the kids. So we add the Form 8965. You can see my shared responsibility payment right here, almost 500 bucks. That stinks. But we can also figure out our coverage exemption. So if you had a scenario where one parent was covered, one parent wasn't, you would go in and you would say for the parent that wasn't covered, see if they had an exemption that may apply. So, or we want to exempt them from it because they have one of these circumstances. They were citizen living abroad and certain non-citizens. So it's resident of a state that did not expand Medicaid. A lot of scenarios where this could potentially come into effect. But let's specifically talk about the dependents. So we want to get rid of those dependent issues. I'm going to go into shared responsibility payment and go into the edit shared responsibility payment of individuals. And we're talking specifically again about these dependents. Click in here, tells me their birth date, and all that I'm going to do is see what months did they not have coverage. You would check the boxes that they don't have coverage. So select the months where the individual had no coverage and no exemption. Well, we did have it, so we click OK and exit. And this guy, months that the dependent had, oh, he didn't have coverage all year. Well, that's wrong. So we're going to uncheck all those, click exit, and if we back up a couple of clicks, you can see that our shared responsibility payment has now been reduced. If we go in and we apply an exemption to the primary, let's say this is their scenario, and we're claiming that exemption again, everything's prorated with the Affordable Care Act. So how many months did they have it? We had it all year. Exit, exit, and now you can see that our shared responsibility payment is 0. So the scenarios are as many as stars in the sky. It can be very fluid, and there could be a lot of changes and a lot of dynamics going on within the tax return. But just thought that you should see how to go about, how to navigate it, how to find it, and hopefully make it work for your client. All the best. Thanks so much. Have a great